Signed
Doesn't
clients,
really matter.
12,633.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
very, very good.
Yeah.
Is that a big
Yeah.
shock for you?
It's a huge, so when I joined you, I was freaking out like, how am I going to make $400 this year? That's literally where I was. In October, I was like, oh, hey, I doubled it. I made $800. And then I was like, oh, I made $2,600. And then I kind of held there and made it again and made it again. And then in January, I was like, oh, I just 10x'd it. And then I 10x'd it again in 2 weeks. I was like, look at me. Here we go.
We have Blaze in the house. Can I get a hell yeah? Welcome to the 10K club. Woo,
I'm
woo,
so
woo, woo,
excited.
woo,
Oh
woo.
my God. Yes.
Well, well done. So first of all,
Thank you.
what was the biggest problem that you found before joining us? What drove you to joining COA?
Joining COA was me feeling completely floundering about who was I even talking to and what was I trying to sell. So showing up, it was really quick for me to feel like there was a community of people. Everybody was super helpful in sharing their stories. And I think I dove in and participated a lot at the beginning. And then I was one of those people that like went back and lurked and took it all in. So I started out thinking, okay, I'm really good at helping people with burnout. I've been through it. I'm going to really go there. And this is the amazing thing is I started to do it and realized I fucking hated it. And that's not what I wanted to do at all. So it was really comforting to go like, oh, but I can get traction. There is a process. People can come in. And what do I want to do? So I started backtracking and going, okay, how can I find people and just interact one-on-one rather than trying to build a group and feeling overwhelmed
One
and use
one
the closer
second. Let me
process?
just let me pause you just real quick though,
Yeah.
before you move to that next part, because I think that's really important. When you just said, like, I think a lot of people put all of their ideas and their hopes into this
Mhm.
ideal niche, ideal offer.
Mhm.
And then when that doesn't initially work quite what they thought, then you're like, and then seeing that, like it doesn't actually matter what niche you go in,
No.
offer you create. If you have the structure and you understand the structure, you can just keep duplicating. And this is still early days, Blaze, right? So when you
Yes.
build up your initial offer, and
Yeah.
then you can just duplicate that offer. You can
Yes.
create a variation of that. Okay, so
Mhm.
I was wanting to jump in on that, but
No,
go on,
thank
carry
you.
on. So you started going one to one, which makes
So I
sense.
started going one to
Validate.
one. I started noticing that the people that I wanted to reach out, I was so turned off by just a career and just stress and burnout. But if they also threw in relationships and that they were interested in their emotions, I was like, oh, I'm all about it. So it started in one place, it evolved somewhere else. And I have bloomed there. Like I'm just so happy with my people. I love talking with them. I
It's
also
nice.
wound it back and realized right now for me, the perfect place for me is one to one for now. And
Yeah.
I have looked at all of the group stuff and I'm like, oh my God, it's gold, it's mint, it's exactly where I see that I'm going. And I'm ready for it in like a year or two. But I know where I'm going. So I'm setting it up and I'm like, oh, what data can I mine? How can I like write down what their problem is? What am I seeing that's
Hmm.
coming up with every single new client that I can really focus on and get to the heart of very quickly? And I'm testing it out as I'm picking up the next one-to-one client and going, oh my God, this is it. It's brilliant. I know exactly their words because I just heard it 5 times with the last 5 people. I say it on the consult and they're an instant yes. And
Yeah,
it's
I,
it's awesome.
it
Yeah.
totally makes sense. I mean, a lot of people want to go straight to the digital asset,
Mhm.
and that's where the majority of the market go.
Yeah.
And they're trying to compete on a low price point. They're trying to, ideally
Mhm.
just sell something and never be there. Whereas actually, when you do start one to one and validate one to one, not only do you get really good, you get great testimonials, you get great client results, you build an
Yes.
amazing asset on the go,
Yeah.
and it just makes it is a lot more sense. So yeah, look, appreciate that. Out of the processes that you've used within COA so
Mhm.
far, what have you enjoyed the most? Sometimes people say the closer process, sometimes the
Yeah.
methodology or the support, how it's designed. What do you like the most so far?
Two keys. So the closer process was a huge help for me, and I had to filter it in my own way personally. I needed to, I hate working from the script. Like the script is perfect and it has the flow, but I had to just memorize, like, you're going to start here and then you have to touch this and touch this and touch this. And then I just put it
It's
aside.
not a script though, agreed. It's a
Right,
framework,
right.
100%.
Exactly.
You
Like
have to adapt
I
it
have to make it my
to what
own.
makes your sense.
Yeah. And as I just understood it in and out, it became like, oh God, like, how did I not understand this before? Like, obviously, this is why it was hard before and now it's easy. So, yeah.
That's a big
Understanding,
awareness though, right? To like having a process where you can
yes.
authentically understand
Mhm.
the client's problem so much so that they they want to work with you because you get them.
Yes. And it's also understanding it well enough to know when we're not a match and being able to release them very easily and not have any attachment, like it has to be you, I need you to pay me money right now. Like all of the stress went away with it. Whereas like there's always going to be another person to talk to. There's always going to be someone else. And I get to say, do I really feel like this deep connection with them? Understanding that I was really in control of the process and I wasn't desperate. I didn't need everybody to say yes and I could say no. And that just completely changed the whole feeling of it. And it made it like, it could be you, it doesn't have to be you, was my new thought with every single call. Is like, it could be you, but it doesn't have to be you. And then they would want to, like, they'd be begging, like, but how do I work with you? Rather than me going, how can I make you work with me? It just completely flipped it, which was nice.
It could be you. I like that.
It could be you, but it doesn't have to be you because I've got 5 other calls and it's fine.
Nice. Okay, great.
So that's like where I'm living now.
That's where it's a great place to hang out in.
Yeah. And a thing that I love is in the group, just the generosity of the people, being able to say, here's like an ad, this is what I put up, what do you think? And getting quick feedback. I was just really feeling supported there. And it's interesting because I went down a different route and went, okay, I'm not as into Facebook right now. I really pulled back and haven't been there too much. But I was like, oh, I could apply this anywhere though. It doesn't actually matter. So that felt really good too.
Same process, like regardless of whether Facebook is there or not, and within probably 3 years, it won't be unless they do something very different. Not just the ad platform might not be the same. And so, it is the framework that you can apply it to any platform, regardless of what platform is your current preference.
Yes. So I'm thrilled, like the wealth of knowledge that you have. And I loved like your scripts of how to include people if you're doing a weekly meetup. So I've brought that into doing, I'll occasionally do like a once a month check-in with people and say, hey, I'm going to run something. We're going to do some emotional release around blah, 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 show up or not, that's fine. And knowing how to, like, we're starting here, we're moving through, I'm in control, tell me all your stuff. This is how it helped you, you and you. Great, we're done. And I'm out. And it feels really great. They're getting what they need. And I get nice feedback from that too.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
What's been your best month so far?
I don't know. It's like the last 30 days. Like it's on a very steep incline. It's going amazing. So I figured some shit out in October, played with it. And it's interesting because I took on some people that weren't ideal and I let them go in November and December. And then January and February is just, we're good. And I have so many people on the line right now where I'm like, oh, okay, I've got 6 calls. I know half of them are going to be an immediate yes. I know 2 of them are going to be at almost next month. And then 2, I'm going to tell them no. So that's how it's going to go.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, it's great.
So you're finding out what's the right balance for how many people you want to take on according to.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What's your highest banking month so far?
Highest banking month so far was January, and it's about to be this month.
What is it going to be, do you reckon?
Are you asking for signed clients or actual money in the bank?
Well, like signed clients.
Signed clients, really 12,633.
Nice. That's very, very good.
Yeah.
Is that a big shock for you?
It's a huge. So when I joined you, I was freaking out, like, how am I going to make $400 this year? That's literally where I was. In October, I was like, oh, hey, I doubled it. I made $800. And then I was like, oh, I made $2,600. And then I kind of held there and made it again and made it again. And then in January, I was like, oh, I just 10x'd it. And then I 10x'd it again in 2 weeks. I was like, look at me. Here we go. Like, I know what I'm doing. Yeah. So yeah.
Wow, that's so amazing. Well done. What do you think what do you think you believe differently now to when you were there?
I spent a lot of time spinning in what am I supposed to do and how am I supposed to reach these people? And now I know exactly what I do and what I'm good at. And do they want my help? Like it was just a flip of perspective, I think. I completely believe in my product. So I think that's a big difference. Before I didn't know what my product was. I was like, should I show up for them? Should it be one-to-one? Should it be group? How much do they need? Should it be this many days, this many hours? Do they need a course? Like I was spinning all over the place and energy everywhere. And now I'm like, oh, this is my process. You're going to come to me. This is how I work. And I feel very secure in it. And I think it lets them feel very secure. Like they know me. I'm just going to do what I do. I've offered 3 different ways for people to work with me, which is essentially the same way to work with me, just in a different timeline. It's, you're either paying me a lot to work with me one time, you're paying me a medium amount over time to work farther apart, or you're just paying me all at once and you save a lot of money and you get 14. It's great. And now I have people coming up for renewals and they're renewing. So I was like, oh, this is going to get so much easier. I want 14 people. As I hit 14 people, like they'll just keep coming back. And then I can be like, oh, well, they're easy. I've got room for more. Or that's about when I want to start building out the group. So yeah.
Perfect stage. And then you actually just phase it. And we talk about a group, but it's actually, you don't even talk about a group. So for example, when you see, you know, exactly how I do it, we don't talk about a group. It's just buying the program, it's buying access to, it's buying the outcome that they want. And
yes,
you know, like I know it sounds like, because you're starting one-to-one and then you're going to group, but actually they won't know any different.
I'm beginning to understand that now in a way that I didn't when I first went through.
Yeah.
And I think it's the difference in how, like, I just feel my energy is just, it's calm. I'm like, yeah, I know my shit. And it's funny because I'll talk to people one time for an hour and they'll call me back and be like, God, you really know your shit. And I was like, yeah, I know I do. Come sign up. You want that? Sign up. It's so easy. I will help you. Just before we got on the phone, I was texting with someone. I was like, hey, do you want some feedback on how you should phrase that for your website? Sure. She sent it to me and I was like, okay, I'm about to get on a call. She's like, great, go change someone else's life. Have a great weekend. And I was like, yeah, so that's what we do. And it feels right. It feels good. And I'm not worried. Like, I understand how I'm creating the result. So I'm not going, how am I going to get it? That's the difference.
And then so what we notice is that as you validate, as you get more confident, as you start charging, you know, more, and you start seeing that impact back, you start believing. So it's a cycle of that process. Well done.
Thank you.
Was there any reservations for joining us, that things that you were holding back or things that you're worried about that you feel differently about now?
So it was a big investment for me. And I think part of that was I needed the kick in the ass to actually do the work. And I knew that about myself. So I was like, well, if there's money behind it, you will fucking show up because you need to make this money back. And I'll share my emotional journey because I did get angry about halfway through and I was like, wait, I don't want to immediately jump to group. And this is what I'm like learning, what the fuck? And then I went, wait, if that's like the one thing that you learned though, like that was so valuable, it was worth the whole 8,000. And I switched my mind on it and was like, well, what if it was worth that to just know that that's where you are and it's okay to actually be happy where you are? And once I decided, oh yeah, it's okay to be happy, then I just decided to be happy and very quickly just built out what I wanted to do. But I used kind of the same process. I was like, the process can still work. Like, you just don't have to do a Facebook ad. Like, you can just go like buy something over here. It's like, spend your money there. If it's working for you, it's fucking working. Do it. So yeah.
Okay. And you're glad you did that then now?
Very much. No, hugely. I'm like, no, I would never say I didn't appreciate it. I think when I signed on, you let me sign on and I was a confused person. And I wasn't sure, like, I knew I had something to give and I knew I wanted to build something and I knew it was coaching, and I came with all my angst. And then I went, but there's this process and I'm watching everybody fucking figure it out. So I was like, so I can figure it out too. It's not like I'm immune and I can't be figuring it out. So I like that you set it up that way and you really talk about it that way. And it let me just get through my own drama and go, wait, but if it's working for like these 17 people that I see every day and they started exactly where I am, then there's no reason that I can't. Yeah.
It's normal. It's normal part of the process. You know, like if you had it all figured out, then you wouldn't have, you know, needed to join in the first place.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, like we know the mindset that you're going through. That's why we really focus down on that mindset key element in really section 1. So look, that's been helpful. Pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. What would you say to someone that was on the edge of joining, that were hesitant, maybe they're worried? What would you say to them?
I would say you're going to find all the support that you could ever want. It's up to you to show up though and ask for it. If you're confused, you can show up and ask for it, and you don't have to be in the side wings in your drama like I did. Because as soon as you ask, there's always an answer. Like, everybody steps up and will help you, which is awesome. And I would say that the program itself is just so good. Like, it's so thought out. There's everything that you need and it'll set you up. So no matter where you're at in your business, like if you're like me and you decide actually one-to-one is where you want to be, all of that stuff that you're growing into is there for you, and it's going to set you up to know what you're building. Like, I'm building my business now knowing where I'm going, which is going to make it 1,000% easier to make that, like, and now it feels like a tiny transition, where before it felt like this overwhelming leap into the unknown. And now I'm like, oh, it's just like the obvious next thing that happens. Awesome. So I would say there's a lot of security there and you have a great team. Yeah.
out of the support elements, which did you like the most, or which do you find is the most valuable for you specifically?
I liked the Facebook group. I like being able to post and get feedback, and not just from your team, but even the people going through it, because it's very fast, quick back and forth. Even if you haven't gotten the direct answer that you wanted yet, if someone hops in, you feel understood and seen and known. And that helps like with the emotional side. And then the actual quick, like, hey, just tweak here. You just know what to do. You're not by yourself going, oh, should I do it? Should I not? Like, you will get an answer and you'll have something to do. And it's about the taking the action. And I think COA just sets you up to continually take a step, take an action, and get the feedback.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's the one. I mean, feedback in the speed time period. Again, for your clients as well, when you start to build yours out, it's getting that quick as possible. So look, that being said, Blaze, I'm really appreciative of you. It doesn't work without amazing people that are easy to coach, that are going through the process and, you know, like take ownership and, you know, do the work. And look, that being said, really proud of you. Let's get your next step sorted now then. And
I want to speak to your process and appreciate you right now, because I've done that. And whenever I would get something wrong, I would assume that it was, I had the wrong product, I had the wrong people, I had wrong whatever. And going through what you teach and sitting with it long enough, I went, oh, it's never about what I'm selling. Like, what I'm selling is fine. My ad is crap. That's fine. Like, that's a whole different conversation than thinking the ad is not reaching people because my product's bad or because my price point is wrong. I was like, it's never about that. And that was a big realization.
A game changer to understand it's actually got nothing to do with your offer. Like as I said, every offer niche works. It's having a methodology to follow, and the majority out there are going to go out, try everything for free, get no support, and then just consistently question themselves. So therefore they build up huge disempowering beliefs. That's why there's a lot of negativity online, because 95% of people with an online business never make it. That's the truth. And so the majority out there not doing it, a very small percentage get access, are coachable. Now, most people aren't like yourself. They're not going to invest into support in today's world. You know, like when you've grown up with so much information available, most people just automatically think, well, I can figure everything out. And I've seen some really successful entrepreneurs who have almost figured it out, and then at the last moment it's just all collapsed, taken 5 years longer, and then they give up. And I'm like, oh, like
you were right there.
You're right there.
You were right there.
You're on the edge of brilliance, and you missed out those last parts. And it's no different to like when you're creating a business, you have to reinvest into the business.
Oh God, yeah. No, I'm looking at what I'm doing now and I'm like, oh wow, being able to turn those funds back in and do it now, like it's a whole different thing. Like you said, like it gets to scale in a way that I wasn't able to 4 or 5 months ago. Hallelujah. I can't wait. It feels awesome.
Is there anything else that I can help you with?
No, I'm feeling amazing and I'm just really thankful. And I appreciate your time. Thanks.
No, you're welcome. So like, are you clear on when you're going to go to group, or you're just going to see it, assess, and see what happens for you?
So my goal right now, I'm at 7, so I'm halfway to my goal of full up with 14. When I hit 14, I want to actually test it to see how many are renewing, to just like understand what their timeline is and what they're getting out of it. But I'm continually asking for feedback. And I feel like within 6 months of testing out renewals and seeing how frequently that's happening, I'm building it alongside, and then we'll start launching group. So I think that's probably within the next 6 to 12 months, which is awesome.
Nice. Well, keep us updated. Yeah.
I will. Yeah.
Amazing to have you.
It's awesome. I feel so thankful. Thank you for welcoming in to the team and just being a part of it. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Doesn't happen without, because you're like, if you take ownership over it and you're easy to coach, the whole thing's so much easier. So we appreciate you.
Thank you. And I appreciate having the modules just able to dive in when I need it. And it's true, like I have gone back and gone, wait, what was I missing? And just gone back into like closer process several times. And there are silent people like me that are still getting a ton out of your programs. I just wanted to let you know that too.
Oh no, it doesn't matter like whether I never, like sometimes yesterday someone's like, oh, I feel like I've let you down. I'm like, it's got nothing to do with that. Like everyone, you have to design it how it works for people, and like people have to use it when it's right for them. And so it's got like nothing to do with, you know, like it, as long as you're going through it, that's all that matters, you know. And you know, like that's it. You know, it's same with your clientele. Like, you know, we've got 400 and yeah, I think 14 people going through it right now. We'll still only get 40 people on the live sessions. It's not an indicator, you know, it's normal. You'll get to a stage
that makes sense. Yeah,
where you know, like I did a session with someone yesterday. I've never even seen him.
just
Never
like, who
met
are
him
you?
close once. He was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing," and you're like, "Cool." You know,
Nice to
like,
meet you, man. Yeah, that's great.
yeah, that's where it's at. You know, like, so it's really worked well on his time schedule.